here's what I love about what Eliot did. Harold Pinter never wrote a play like this. He wrote many kinds of plays, but he never wrote a play where the audience has to decide all these things, make all these decisions about who's living, who's sort of living, who might have been living, who may never have existed. And Eliot did that. And he did it completely inspired by the root system of Harold Pinter.
I sort of had this idea, which I presented to Dado, which was, what if I write something using the text of Harold Pinter? I will read a number of his plays, and I will take lines from those plays, and I will sort of stitch them back together and create this whole other story, which ultimately sort of evolved, as these things often do, from writing a play with Pinter's words to writing a play in the style of Harold Pinter.
This is far riskier to write a play in this style of Harold Pinter, if you could even imagine such a thing. But going into the headspace of Harold Pinter and making a play out of that was risky because, of course, you're going to be compared to Harold Pinter. So we decided to market the thing as not written by Harold Pinter, and I think that took a lot of the pressure off.
In a lot of ways, I think the play is Joe's play, because I think he's the character who changes the most in the play.
It doesn't look good for the dog. It doesn't look good at all. In fact, if I were being really honest with you, Viv, I would say things look pretty grim. Pretty grim indeed. She barely made it past the willows today without stopping to catch her breath. Vet says dyspnea. I hate that word. I don't know what it means, and I don't know how to say it.
No, this is not Joe's play. I don't think this is Joe's play. I think this play feels to me like it is the play of Vivian.
Think I'll have a cup of tea. Cup of tea?
Yes.
Milk or sugar?
Bourbon.
Vivian is like a diamond. Like, she's got all these like facets to her. The locus of her grief is missing, whereas Joe is resolute. Like, his grief, you can tell. It's a grieving man. He's losing his marriage. You don't really know everything, but you can see that. But with a woman like Vivian, you see like how it's sort of swirling around her, and it's more like maneuvering her.
At the beginning of the play, he's sort of very much at odds with his wife. This death, this non-existent child, however it's manifested for the actors, is really driving them apart. He's trying so very hard to be incredibly nice to his wife. British people are always so polite and they're so nice to each other. And I thought, okay, so we've got to start this with this Englishman, this Joe, being very typically British. So he makes a cup of tea and he's very nice to his wife, but he's not overly affectionate towards her. He doesn't go up to hug her or to kiss her or anything like that. So you have this very stiff, standoffish man, and he feels his life crumbling around him, his wife drifting away and drifting towards this other man, the other man being Ross.
Tell me the truth, Vivian. Just say that you do. I know it's tough. I know you've gone a long time without them, but you can do it. You remember the custardy texture on your tongue, the biscuit crumbling on your lips. I know you love them. I know this to be true. I knew it the minute I heard your voice forbidding me from entering your home. Yes, as soon as I heard it, I knew it. And I said to myself, this is a lady who likes her custard creams. I knew it then and I know it now, but you have to know it too, Vivian. I need you to say it. You say it. You say it. You say it.
I love custard creams!
What we want to see from a character is we want to see them change. That's why we watch plays. We don't want to see someone end a play in the same way they started a play. What's the point of that? We want to watch characters start one way and really go through the mill, drive them through. How far can I push this character?
Oh. Must be your wife.
bit late for a shower.
I can send his wife away. I can have this man take over his house. I can have this man have sex with his wife. And what does that do to a man? And what it ultimately does is it breaks Joe into a new person. You could argue a stronger person, but perhaps also a slightly clinically insane individual.
Too much water hast thou, poor Ophelia, and therefore I forbid my tears. And yet it is our trick. Nature her custom holds, let shame say what it will. When these are gone, the woman will be out. Adieu, my lord. I have a speech of fire that fain would blaze, but that this folly doubts it.
Initially, I had a very difficult time with the end of the play. I knew I wanted to end it with Norma coming face to face with her father. And the way which we decided to do that was taking text which we had originally thrown out of Norma's and recycling it, having her speak into tape recorders at the beginning of the show, in the pre-show, and having her play them on stage at different speeds.
Well, that was a lovely day, wasn't it? I have a problem. And it's not a big problem. I don't mean to alarm you at all, so please don't be worried. But I'm hungry. And I find that odd. Because I didn't think I would be. I didn't think I would be ever again. And I also have another problem, and it's that I'm getting older. I think you've noticed that I'm indeed getting older all the time. Why doesn't that stop?
So you have Norma playing these different poems and different texts that she's given at speed, and we're not quite sure what she's saying, but we can watch how she's saying, and we can hear how she's saying it, and we can see she's trying to break through to this man. Perhaps he's been a negligent father, and for once in her life she's trying to, or death as the case may be, reach through and touch this man and perhaps get him to touch her. And at the end she's screaming at him, please say something to me.
Say something! Fucking say something! Say anything! Please! 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 Say something to me.
There was silence only. He woke to this loud silence, turned his pillow to the cool side, and went back to sleep. The black is in my clothes, in my ears.
If I want to be fair, I really feel like sometimes at the end it felt more like it was Norma's play almost, because Norma was the character that we all wanted to cut. It felt right to have three people in the play. All of Norma's movements and scenes seemed like they could just be easily taken out, and we could just have this like marital play with this missing person, you know. But I really didn't want that. I really wanted the complication of the person who is not living in the same reality. That's true. And I think that's what made the play not a Harold Pinter play, 100%.